first of all, yep, good evening for everyone that doesn't know me. My name's Toby Story, not Karen Robinson. I'm the owner of Southern Sea Ventures, and I'm just going to go straight into a presentation about these different areas, most through Indonesia and Micronesia, and also out into the Pacific. And I will then we'll have a question and answer session towards the end. As I said, this will be recorded, so if you prefer not to have your face on the internet, do turn off your video, and it is ideal if you mute your microphone just in case there's any background noise, but we won't hold it against you. Okay. It'd be great, actually. Has anyone got their microphone on? They could just say a quick, yes, I can see the presentation. That's always helpful.
It's good, Toby.
Fabulous. Thank you. Also, there's a chat function. If you're not aware, you can post, if you have a question, you can pop it in the chat. And if I don't pick it up immediately, I'll get to it. At the end, I'll just check in there to see if there's any questions. So you can just pop it in there while you think of it if you like. Yeah, so just a little bit of background. Is there anyone here that isn't familiar with Southern Sea Ventures? Started back in 1988 by Al Baker out into the Fijian Islands, where we're still operating at the moment. We've got trips out there right now, and sort of expanded from there, offering, I think, around about 25 different itineraries in, I think it's now 19 countries, but it sort of fluctuates because we keep adding new things. So yeah, and I took over in March 2020 and been getting busy with lots of new and exciting things ever since. So just click on. So tonight I'm going to talk pretty much just about new trips. So these are all trips that are new this year and in the coming years. It's sort of built on a legacy of exploration. We're always looking for new and exciting things to do. You may not be aware that Southern Sea Ventures, or AL, was the first sea kite company to operate kayaking in Antarctica, and just set up our first trips out to the Abrolhos Islands a month or so ago. We've got a first trip out to the Faroe Islands coming up next week, and all of these trips that we're talking about will be firsts for us as well. So that's all part of the fun and excitement of it. So we're really talking primarily about this area up through Indonesia. I'm assuming everyone can see my cursor there, up to Palau, just up here, and also just a couple of the expedition cruises that are happening all the way around out to Vanuatu. But it's really mainly in this area, in what they call the Coral Triangle, that we'll mostly be focused. So I'll start just with Indonesia, specifically the trips that we're running there for this year. So Komodo Islands, Sulawesi, and then some of the other expedition cruises, Bali to PNG and PNG all the way through to Vanuatu. Both of the voyages that we're doing in Indonesia, so the Komodos and Sulawesi, are on Finsi-style vessels. They are a traditional Indonesian vessel, still built traditionally by traditional means or to traditional designs, I should say, in southern Sulawesi. And they've been, used throughout that part of the world for hundreds and hundreds of years. Incidentally, the one we're using in Palau is also a Finsi vessel. So this vessel is Jakar. It takes up to 10 passengers. So it's a small vessel. Each cabin has its own bathroom. It's got AC, and obviously great food and beverage service on board. They're really beautiful vessels to be on, all wooden built and very stylishly laid out and looked after. So I thought I'd just quickly touch on a couple of these trips. I have sort of been over these before, so I'll sort of go quite quickly through the Indonesian stuff, and then I'll spend a little more time in Palau. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Sulawesi. This is right up here in the Gulf of Tomini, and we'll be going out of Luwak for 9 nights into we'll do a little excursion into the Bangi Islands, and then around into the Gulf of Tomini to the Togians up here, which we'll spend most of our time up there. These are sort of quite remote areas. They're not heavily trafficked or heavily visited. There's 1 or 2 dive operators out there. Beautiful islands, lovely little limestone islands full of jellyfish lakes, tropical forests, white sand beaches. And interestingly, from a cultural perspective, the Bajalau, or sort of a nomadic sea people that really inhabit the coastal fringes and reefs and atolls all throughout the Coral Triangle up into the Philippines and right the way down towards Komodo Islands as well. They have their stilt villages throughout the area as well. So it's a very interesting place culturally, as well as being a very remote and beautiful group of islands. I think some of the big highlights, the jellyfish lakes, they're stingless jellyfish, and this is a bit of a theme. They're out in Palau as well. You can actually go into the lakes and swim amongst the jellyfish, which is a really quite remarkable experience once you get over the idea that they're not going to sting you. There are potentially dugong out there, and turtles, and possibly whale sharks as well. Can be a little bit luck of the draw with all of those things, as always. And again, this is this trip will be running in September. I think we've just got a couple of spaces left on that one for 2024, and we'll be releasing our 2025 dates very soon. And just a hot tip, we'll also be doing another expedition starting further south. There's a little group of islands down here, which they call Little Raja Ampat. So plan to explore that and then head up into the Bungi Islands for the first trip. And the second trip, we'll be doing the Togians and the Bungi Islands as well. That's for the 2025 trips, which will be coming out very soon. Komodo Islands. These are really interesting. For a tropical area, they're incredibly dry. They make part of the Lesser Sunda Islands and East Nusa Tenggara. So they're on the eastern side of the Wallace Line. And if you're not familiar with the Wallace Line, it's effectively a big trench running between Bali and Lombok. There's a deep section here, and we really have Asiatic wildlife on the western side. And once we come over to the east, we start to see eucalypts and other species that are more related to, actually, we would be, as Australians, if you're in Australia, we'd be more familiar to us with kind of dry savanna, open woodland, eucalypts. But of course, in the Komodos, we've got the Komodo dragon, and it's not found anywhere else on Earth, the world's largest land lizard. And it is one of the reasons that the area was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Area. The landscape itself is a natural landscape, so it's very much a savanna style of woodland, very dry, beautiful white sand beaches. There's really great hiking here as well as the kayaking, snorkeling and diving. Obviously under the water, we're just with the hiking side of things. If you get up high, there are some little patches of cloud forest as well. So it's quite diverse on the terrestrial ecology, and mangroves as well are in certain areas of the islands. We'd have 9 days out there, so plenty of time to move amongst the islands, which is what makes the liveaboard experience such an exciting and great way to travel. And just in terms of the marine life, again, it's a really diverse area. We're at the southern end of the Coral Triangle, so we've still got rich coral life, lots of sea turtles, dugongs and sunfish throughout that area. And just to go on, these are our sort of expedition cruising voyages with kayaking, that we're running the kayaking side of things. For the first voyage, and we'll have similar dates for 2025, which again we'll have soon. Out of Denpasar, Komodo, Wakatobi, Buru, Raja Ampat, right the way around, all the way around to Port Moresby, through the Asmat Swamps, Triton Bay. So really quite an epic voyage, quite a different type of experience. So the vessel is the Heritage Explorer, Adventurer, and it carries up to 140 passengers. Obviously slightly different sort of service offerings on board, but so quite different from our smaller local vessels, which are more concentrated in one area. These are much longer voyages covering a wider selection of Indonesia and beyond. And this is not Indonesia, but because it tags on to the other one, I thought I'd put it in here. the second voyage from after Port Moresby travels all the way through to Vanuatu, through the Solomon Islands, Bougainville. So again, quite an epic voyage, traversing some incredibly remote country. And we did the first one with kayaking last year. It was, yeah, people were pretty excited about the experiences out there.
Sophie just got the link and she sent it because there was this talk on today.
But just we do have just one mic on in the background. It's just fine, but just so you know. And so, okay, so Palau. So I did mention it already, but this is the first question people have been asking is, where's Palau anyway? I'm sure many people have heard about it. For me, it's been on my mind for a long time as a
recording in progress.
Quite a remarkable place to visit. So there's a little bit of echo there. But the other question is, so it's just here north of, sort of to the east of the Philippines, southern Philippines, and to the north of West Papua. It's about 700 or 800 kilometers from the Philippines. And the other question is, how do we get there? And this is the good thing. So there's just been new flights opened up that are direct from Brisbane through Air Nauru. So that means that you, instead of having to fly up into Asia and then back to the Philippines for Australians, that means the whole journey is cut down to a 7-hour direct flight out of Brisbane, which is pretty exciting. And all of the trips that we've designed are designed to work in with that flight cycle. So it forms part of Micronesia, and it's one of the world's smallest countries, taking up about 180 square kilometres. But within that 180 square kilometres, over 500 islands, depending on how you count the islands. And our trips will be focused around this area. This is the Rock Islands, very famous area in Palau. Beautiful limestone islands, lots of caves. Again, we've got the jellyfish lakes there.
We're supposed to get through on that. They're getting funny tonight.
Just excuse me, I've just got a little background noise here. I might flick across and just pop that off. I can. No, anyway, I'll just keep going. Obviously, the marine diversity is probably what it is most known for. It's been very heavily, it's a very coveted area for divers. But of course, just the snorkeling is also absolutely fantastic. So being able to just step out of the kayaks or off the beach and into some really incredible snorkeling. It's got the world's remotest population of dugongs, manta rays, literally thousands of fish species, hundreds and hundreds of different coral species, again, jellyfish lakes. Now, it was populated about 3,000 years ago originally. It's got a very rich traditional culture still. And interestingly, it was only, Europeans only sort of found out about it because some Palauans had been out fishing and they ended up blown off course over in the Philippines. So just a quick sort of 800-mile journey from Palau across to the Philippines, and they met a missionary out there and described the islands. So that's how it was originally discovered by Europeans. Of course, it's got there was some very fierce battles out there during World War II, and so you can still see a lot of the relics both in the water and in some places on the land as well. And as I said, I just put that little getting there just so I didn't forget to mention the flights. So we're doing two kinds of trips out there. We're doing a sort of classic expedition style trip, again, primarily focused in the Southern Rock Islands area. It's a classic expedition, paddling different campsites, might do a couple of nights in one area. They're 8-day trips, including 7 nights out camping, plus 1 night in the hotel, tied in again with the flight patterns. We are boat supported for some portions, which means we may, if in the case of weather, we may need to start or finish the trip in a certain area. And we also are going to have a resupply to ensure that we've got all the luxuries that we're accustomed to in the tropics. And the other voyage that we're doing is the liverboard. Now, this is the Palau Siren, again, a Finsi style vessel built in Indonesia, southern Sulawesi. This vessel again has all private bathrooms, en suites with AC, so very comfortable on board. Wooden built. This caters for up to 16 people. And the way that the voyages work in Palau, because we're actually limited by, Palau has very strong environmental laws and regulations, which is really tied in with the strong environmentally conscious culture. It's the world's largest shark sanctuary, actually. But so we'll be effectively, you've got several different anchorages where the vessel will be in position for a day or two, and we'll move from between all those different anchorages, and then we use the tenders to take the kayaks and divers or snorkelers just to the sort of highlights in any given day. So we can use the tenders to access some hiking sites as well. So the vessel and setup really lends itself well to a wide variety of experiences in terms of the kayaking experience, but also in terms of those that may prefer to do some diving, and those that prefer to do a bit of extra kayaking, because we can easily extend out certain paddles by using the tenders to move us to different parts of the islands. Now, in terms of the dates, our first liveaboard will be next year, June through July, and then we're going to be running in June and November in 2026 and beyond. Those are that's the best times of year for the wind out there, so it's the best time for the kayaking experience. I always like to add this bit in. Who are they suitable for? I mean, for the expedition, we definitely recommend at least a moderate level of fitness and some kayaking experience. Don't really have the opportunity to sort of bail out at any moment. And we are trying to cover a bit of ground and explore in a more classic expedition style. For the liveaboard voyages, and this includes those in Indonesia, it's really open to all levels of experience. And we've got support boats we can use to, cater to the group level, and also different levels within the group, using a mix of double and single kayaks as well, of course. And so we always recommend being adventurous of spirit is much more important than being overly fit or experienced with kayaking. And of course, age is no barrier. We have people as young as 8 and as old as 80 on some of these voyages. So I'll just go on to a question and answer session now. I'll shut down the slide, and I'll just mention, because you've turned up, you'll all get emailed a couple of special offers in relation to this trip in the coming days. So I'm just going to stop share on the screen, and then please feel free to ask any questions that you might have, or just pop in and join the conversation.
Well, Toby, they look exciting, I have to say.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, they do look really exciting. Just one question probably, being a single traveller.
Yeah.
On the liveaboards, is there an ability to, instead of paying a single supplement, if you get another single person along, another same sex, obviously, to share as in a double twin room? Is that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So there's no single supplements unless you choose to reserve the room for yourself. We're happy to pair you up. There's no supplement for traveling solo.
Right, that's good to see. Thank you.
Yeah. No worries.
Oh, can I ask one more before anyone pops in?
Yeah.
Are you actually doing the Palau trips yourself, or?
I hope to do at least one. I will definitely. I'm doing Sulawesi this year.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got 2 children now. One 6-week-old and one nearly 3-year-old. So a limited number of trips for me. But I'll be on Sulawesi, and then jumping on Svalbard next year as well as a few local things. And
right. Cool.
But I'll probably squeeze in a Palau trip.
Well, I hope they can all cook as well as you can.
Thank you. Absolutely. And all of these trips are escorted by a guide from Southern Sea Ventures. So.
Hi, Toby. It's Rick here, Joe's partner.
G'day, Rick.
We've got Raja Ampat in February next year.
Yes.
I'm especially interested in the snorkeling.
Yep.
Can I assume that there'll be a facility to do lots of it?
Absolutely, there is. Yeah, and it's very, very good.
Can I jump in here?
Yes.
We were on the Raja Ampat trip in November. It was amazing. The snorkeling is out of this world. We had the most fantastic time. You are so lucky to be going.
Great.
Thank you, Alice. And sorry, I didn't focus
Thank
in
you,
on
Alice.
Russia this time because I wanted to sort of focus in on the new trips. In
Yep.
terms of the snorkeling, I agree. It really is mind blowing. And Palau is on a par with that. So for those people that have been to both, I would say these are the two places probably in the world where you would have some of the most amazing snorkeling and marine life.
Yes, we really enjoyed the kayaking. It was very laid back, chiefly because it was really hot. But frankly, it got to the point where we said, oh, let's go snorkeling instead, because the snorkeling was just amazing. And the other highlights, which we hiked up to see the red birds of paradise, which Toby hasn't mentioned, but that was outstanding. And you know, swimming with the jellyfishes was downright weird.
It is weird, but it's also quite cool, isn't it?
But I jumped on because I'm interested in going to Palau because we had such a good time in Raja Ampat.
Yeah, fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Toby, it's Joe here.
Yeah.
People are saying to us that Raja Ampat in February is going to be very wet.
No, not necessarily.
No.
It's it's a good time. You can have wet and dry conditions.
Yeah.
At different throughout. I have not had extensive rain through that period. It's been, you will have tropical storms come through.
Yes.
Definitely the better time to be there because of the wind, and then occasionally you can have a storm pass through. So it can be wet for a time, but from our
We're
experience,
used to it.
it's not it doesn't hinder the trip and
Right.
really. Yeah.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
With that particular trip, when will you confirm that the trip's an absolute goer? Because I mean, it's all a matter of numbers, I'm assuming.
I assume it is already confirmed, but if you haven't heard, then I will check.
Thank you, because we need to book flights.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just check for you and let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Wendy Morris here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm also one who's been to Raja Ampat and loved the snorkeling and loved it more than the kayaking, really. But I'm just interested more in Palau now. You said the snorkeling is very good there.
Very good.
Right, but how much snorkeling happens compared to kayaking?
Almost as much as you want, Wendy.
Right, okay.
So the really great thing about the voyage, we've got 16 potential people on board.
Yep.
We've got tenders, so we can really be running simultaneously running kayaking and snorkeling. So at any given day, if you say, you know what, I'll kayak today, then you can join the kayaking.
Yep.
And if you say I prefer to snorkel, you can go snorkeling. And
Okay.
and we'll also probably have a sort of a group of kayakers who are probably a bit more committed. That often happens, and then we'll have probably a more relaxed group of kayakers. So you might say, I'm going to do a little bit of snorkeling, and then I'm going to join the relaxed kayakers in the afternoon.
Yeah,
So,
we certainly mixed it in Raja Ampat. We'd probably snorkel twice a day.
Exactly, and we could do something
kayaking
very
in around that.
Yeah, exactly. We easily do something similar. Yeah.
Right.
Can I give one piece of advice to those of you who are going? We bought Stinger suits and they were really imperative. There was something in the water, like sea lice, that gave you itchy bites, and a Stinger suit that covered your ankles and your neck. And I actually wore my Stinger suit up and over my chin. Was really good. So So if you must have something. The crew that were wearing them as well. It was.
Right.
Well, thank you for that.
Thanks, Alice.
Yeah, it must depend on the season, because I've done 2 Raja Ampat trips and not needed anything.
No, because we made the mistake. We jumped in our kayaking gear, shorts and long sleeve shirt, and no. You may be lucky, but have something in your bag just in case.
Oh, yes.
Yep. That's cheap insurance.
Mhm.
It is. I've always just, been a little uncomfortable from time to time, but that's really good advice. Fantastic. Any other questions I can answer while I'm here?
Hi, Tabes. Anthony Dowling. Congratulations on baby number 2.
Thank you very much. I saw your name there. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah, so with the Palau trip, just presuming you can actually do a bit like Ningaloo and other places, like kayaking and snorkeling, from the kayak as well. You don't have to sort of do one or the other. Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, often an outing would be, we always, to a certain extent, we are always responsive to the weather and the group needs. So, but also there's certain itineraries that work where it's, you do a paddle, you go to a beach, that's the spot to go for a snorkel, and then you'll get picked up and transported back to the vessel. That would be a quite common sort of scenario. Or we might be doing a full day out, you paddle, snorkel, back in the kayaks, keep going, finish up somewhere else and get picked up and come back. Yeah. So you're specifically meaning climbing out of the kayaks and going snorkeling?
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities for that. And you paddle over the top of something and you think this is an amazing spot. And I've done that in Raja Ampat numerous times. We used to call it torkeling, where you tie your kayak to your leg and just snorkel with the towing the kayak.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
With Palau, what about a village contact and meeting the people, or is it less inhabited than Raja Ampat, which is pretty limited?
The sort of Rock Islands area is uninhabited.
Yep.
But then it's Koror, so the main island, and then Palau, which is down the south. There are opportunities for us to do land-based activities as well. So going on shore, there's also some, for those that are history buffs, there's some really interesting history around the Second World War, as well as obviously it's been inhabited for around 3,000 years. So there's old village sites, as well as, of course, people who still live there from that time and with those traditions. So there are opportunities to engage with the local culture as well.
Toby, would you recommend staying for a couple of extra days at the end of the Palau
So,
trip?
yeah, look, excuse me, it depends a little bit on what you'd like to do. Obviously, the flights are set up to coincide with the voyage itself.
Yep.
We'll get a really good opportunity to explore a lot of the islands. And day one, you come in, we don't get on the vessel till the evening, so there's sort of an opportunity to do a little bit of land-based exploration for that morning as well, or rest. It sort of depends, because it's an overnight flight, depends on your enthusiasm. But there definitely is plenty of scope to spend more time. You probably will have done enough in the Rock Islands and the southern area, but there is a little bit you could do definitely on the main island, whether that's a local village stay or resort stay, or some more sort of hikes, etc. on the larger island.
Yeah, being lucky, being in Brisbane, direct flights, it's
great
good to be able to extend it possibly.
Yeah.
May never get back, so
Yeah, if you've got the time, to me it seems like a great opportunity to do 2 weeks and you do a trip and then you have some extra time. But it does.
So it's only one flight a week.
Sorry,
one direct flight a week.
We've got 2. I think it's flying. I can't remember exactly. Flying up Wednesday, back Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday. So there's a couple of flights. Yeah. Yeah.
I presume you've got a detailed itinerary coming out with the Palau trip.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And remember that the itinerary is always a guideline. It's
Oh,
probably
yes.
better.
Yeah, they've done that.
Yeah. Especially with sea kayaking and boats.
Yeah.
It's, we always respond to the best opportunities that the weather provides us. Yeah. Or just turn it
Well,
around.
we went on the trip in Raja Ampat where we didn't end up with a boat.
Oh, well,
Anyway, plenty of story there.
oh no, I do remember that one. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're
Yep.
we're well experienced in that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you'd have any of that sort of goings on in Palau at the moment.
I would
with that
hope not.
setup. Yeah. 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 That would have been quite some time ago.
It was a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we work with a different different vessel these days.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Has anyone else got any other questions or just want to say hello, share a story about travel?
No,
Think I'm
All
done.
good, thanks.
all good.
Okay, no worries. Well, as I said, we're going to send a follow-up with a couple of special offers for joining us today. And it was lovely to see you all. And yeah, thanks for your questions and for your time and for coming along. And we'll see you all at the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
Thanks,
Bye.
Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
Totally.
No worries.
Bye.
Just hit that. Yeah, just hit that. Leave meeting, yes.
Just checking in.
We're all looking
Make
worked
sure.
how to leave it.
Fabulous.
There it is.
Thank you, Daniela. Fabulous.